Yes, guys, what's going on? Welcome to AdamMcKola TV. We are back with another Weekly United where we wrap up the week in the world of Manchester United. And boy, this week has gone fast, hasn't it? It just feels like a day or two ago since we were doing the last Weekly United. And yet again, we are here wrapping up the week in the world of Man United. And it's another week without football. I've lost count about how many weeks we've had without football. I know it's been over a month since we last seen Manchester United play and beat LASK Lynx 5-0. The last game at Old Trafford was, of course, that game against Manchester City, which ended with Scott McTominay's class goal to give Manchester United a 2-0 win, send United into raptures. Manchester United fans at that moment, oh my days, what a celebration it was. And to think that was the last time we were all together at Old Trafford. We'll be speaking about Scott McTominay later on in this show as well. But we have got loads to be talking about. A potential return to training for the players. Jack Grealish again. Ed Woodward. Koulibaly's popped up yet again. And Marcus Rojo's future is in the balance, as well as Young Player of the Year. We're opening up a discussion about that one too here on AdamMcKola TV after some strange comments in The Athletic by someone that I like, Laurie Whitwell. So this is a big criticism of him, but strange comment, I thought. Nevertheless, it is just an opinion, and we'll be discussing that a little bit later in the show. But let's get stuck into a potential return to training for Manchester United. And here we see Premier League players have been told to expect a return to group training at the end of May and to expect the season to resume in June. So we're seeing a potential date or timeline building up now for when football could return. I still think that is very, very optimistic to think that we could get football in June. Whether it's behind closed doors or not, I think it's very, very optimistic. We're coming up till May now, which gives us about 6-7 weeks until we're in June. Are we going to be seeing football in that time? Are we going to be doing 7-8 Weekly Uniteds before we get football back? I think there could be even more than that. I genuinely could. And there's obviously been other talk as well this week that Premier League clubs want there to be a deadline of June as well, because they don't want this to be dragging on. We've got contracts of players and loan moves and things like that, which are all going to come into consideration as well around that time. If players' contracts are expiring when football's going on, can they really do that? Can they really do that? Forcing clubs into giving contracts out when we're in this kind of unfamiliar territory? I'm not sure they can, so I still think there's a lot of hurdles to be done and to go through. But at the moment, it looks like the end of May could be when players are in training. And we've heard United have been doing kind of like sessions via Skype and Zoom and things like that, using those kind of apps. And they've been doing small sessions with a group of players, so maybe 4 or 5 players at a time. Not sure what's been going on in those sessions, whether it's just a mental kind of thing and it's just a chit chat and a team building, or whether they're all doing exercises and things like that, the same kind of things together. But they've all got their plans and they've all got schedules they need to keep to. Rashford and Pogba will be ready to play by the time any football's back around. So we could be ending the season, if it is ended, with a much stronger squad. But I'm still very doubtful we'll see any football. Nevertheless, end of May could be the return to training. Jack Grealish as well is continuously in the press, continuously linked with Manchester United. And it wasn't so long ago that we were thinking, has he blown this chance of a move to Manchester United after he was breaking the curfew or breaking the lockdown rules and all that? It wasn't necessarily breaking the law or anything like that, but he was out and about. He was with friends and having a party, and we thought, has he gone a step too far? Has he overstepped the line? But really, it was just one little thing that's popped up. But he's generally been quite well. He's kept his head down, he's worked hard, he's been playing well for Aston Villa. And now we're hearing he's open to a move to Manchester United. He visits Manchester quite regularly and he wants to get out of the spotlight that he finds himself in Birmingham. And him becoming, like, rather than being a big fish in a small pond and becoming, I say small pond, that's not to disrespect Aston Villa, they're obviously a big football club, but Jack Grealish moving to a squad where there's players that are on his level or better than him, and he's not expected to do everything, could be massive for him, and it could actually help bring more out of him. Now some may say that actually him being the big fish in the small pond is bringing more out of him, and him having that responsibility is, but the responsibility will be there on him at Manchester United. But being able to link up with the likes of Bruno, Pogba, Rashford, Marshall, Mason Greenwood, maybe Jadon Sancho if we bring it in, would be massive for him. Would be absolutely massive. And there's talk of a £60 million transfer fee now. Is that going to drop much post-coronavirus and all this stuff going on? I don't think so. If we continue the season, Villa go down, I think you're probably getting for 50 million, but I don't think you're getting him for any less than that. Villa's owners are quite wealthy, so they don't have to take any old bid. They don't have to take any old bid. But you could get him a little bit cheaper if Villa went down. But I don't think they'll be forced into making any panic buys. And like when Ollie mentions exploiting the market, I don't think he means this kind of situation. I think we'll be looking at other clubs to exploit, and Villa probably won't be one of those that will be able to because of how rich their owners are. Moving on from that and talking about someone who's been involved in transfers in the past and maybe not anymore, the MEN claimed that Ed Woodward is no longer involved in the recruitment of players. And just like Paddock say here in their tweet, great news if true. It is absolutely great news if true. Now, we seen an article in the Premier League Gazette which was praising him for all the deals that he got while being at Manchester United, and I don't think any Manchester United fan has a problem with that. We make jokes and we laugh about it and we take the piss every now and then, saying, he signs more commercial deals than transfer players and stuff. But that's because he's poor in the transfer market, not because he's poor at getting commercial deals. We don't actually care if the commercial deals come in, as long as we're doing our business in the transfer market properly, and there doesn't seem to be an intent and a sole focus on commercial activity. If Ed Woodward has stepped back or stepped down from being involved in the recruitment of players, then that would be a huge boost to Manchester United, to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and to the future of the club. I think his active involvement obviously wasn't good enough. We needed to improve. There's been a lot of talk about director of football and that. We haven't seen an appointment of somebody else, but it may just be a rejig in how things are done. It may just be that Ollie's working with different people, alongside different people. Ed Woodward ultimately will have the final say, because he's like, ultimately he may as well change his name to Glazer. He's one of them. He will know what they want to do, and he will liaise with them in terms of contact on how much money he can spend and whatnot. But if he's been taken out of the recruitment of players, that is a great step for Manchester United in terms of improving. And we have seen a steady improvement in recruitment. When you look at the players that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has invested in, you can't complain with any of them. Now, moving on to a player that could be coming to Man United. It's been linked with Manchester United for an awfully long time. Now, this was in La Repubblica in Italy, and Marco Atti with the article. Now, some of the articles translated from Italian into English, so excuse it if it's kind of like jumbled up a little bit. But they're saying that Manchester United and Manchester City are in the race for Kalidou Koulibaly. Manchester United have edged ahead of Manchester City. PSG could be entering the race, and there are other clubs that are interested. But United are ahead of Manchester City in the race for him. They say United could pay up to 10 times the amount that Napoli got him for, which was around 8 million euros. So you're looking at about an 80 million euro fee, which again isn't the kind of fee that we're looking at last year. But again, he's not as young as he was then, you know what I mean? He's getting a little bit older. His contract's not as long to go on it. There's all sorts of reasons where the price will go down. This is a little bit of the article. The physiological separation from the Senegalese giant seems at best to go in August without being called into question. So that seems to say he can leave in August without being questioned by the board. It remains only to understand which of the two Manchester teams, which moved in before Paris Saint-Germain and with more convincing arguments, will win the millionaire auction for the blue defender, with United, who is currently ahead of City. So that is what they are saying in Italy, in Repubblica. Now again, I'm very sceptical, and on the last Weekly United, or the one before, I gave a warning to United saying we'll probably only sign one player, maybe two players in this window, maybe three at a push, but we're not going to be going out spending vast amounts of money. I see Jadon Sancho, Igalo, and maybe Grealish. We'll probably spend around 150 million, 200 million net, which is a lot of money. But when you consider United in the last window spent 40 million, the one before that around 70 million, you know, our net spend isn't usually that much. We're not going to be spending 200-300 million. People that think we're going to sign Harry Kane and all this, it's just simply not going to happen. If it did, we wouldn't be able to sign anyone else. And for that reason, I just don't think we're going to be getting Koulibaly. I don't think we're going to get him. I don't think we're going to get Kalidou Koulibaly. But the interest is there, and they're writing about it in Italy as well, which is very interesting. More transfer talk, and it's about a player that could be potentially leaving Manchester United. Marcos Rojo, who's currently on loan at Estudiantes, and he's saying, I will feel a tremendous sense of pain if he has to leave, says Rojo. Well, if you don't want to leave Estudiantes, then you want your loan extended. How about you just jack in your United contract and just take a deal there? I'm sure you wouldn't do that, Marcus. I love you, but I'm sure you wouldn't do that because of the money. So there's no point talking about tremendous sense of pains and urging Manchester United to let you stay at Estudiantes. Ultimately, we pay most of your wages at the moment. And, you know, if you want to go, they need to pay up. It's pointless us paying your wages for you to play elsewhere constantly. If they're not going to pay up and someone else will, then we need to let you go to them. But he wants to stay at Estudiantes, so let's hope they can get some money together. And the last topic of today is, well, it's not Scott McTominay, it's Young Player of the Year. But in the Athletic, I like the Athletic, I like the articles in there. Larry Whitwell, this is one I disagree with, Larry, sorry mate. Scott McTominay, Young Player of the Year. Are you having a laugh? Are you having a laugh? I think he's like, is he 23 years old at the moment? He's not that young, and even if he was the youngest player in the team, there's young players in this team that have done a lot more for him, for United this season. I was baffled to see some suggesting that Scott McTominay could be a Player of the Year candidate, never mind Young Player of the Year candidate. He's had ups and downs in the season. He's been injured for a long time. He's been very good for United at times as well. And like I said, we had that moment against Manchester City, which was amazing. I think Scott McTominay is a valuable member of the squad, don't get me wrong. But Young Player of the Year, Greenwood. Does he not play for Man United? 12, 13 goals this season in his first ever campaign. Aaron Wan-Bissaka. What about him? Younger than Scott McTominay. He's been tearing it up. Marcus Rashford's younger than Scott McTominay. Brandon Williams is younger than Scott McTominay. This isn't a dig at Scott McTominay. I just think some people need to calm down a little bit with Scott. He's a fantastic player. He's going to get better. He's proven a lot of people, including me, wrong. And he's a valuable member of the squad. But relax. Player of the Year. Young Player of the Year. I remember when some people said Pogba was Player of the Year last year when he got most goals, most assists, most chances created, did all these things, and everyone was like, nah, it's Luke Shaw because he's stayed fit all season. And now some of you have the cheek to say Scott McTominay is Player of the Year. Don't get it. Anyway, thank you for tuning in to AdamMcKola TV. This has been the Weekly United. Let us know who your Player of the Year, Young Player of the Year candidates would be. Don't forget, me, Jay and Joe had a master debating session talking about Player of the Year the other day, and that link will be around here on the screen somewhere at the moment, and you can find it on AdamMcKola TV anyway. So make sure you're liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing. Go and check out all the other content, because we've got daily content here on AdamMcKola TV. United Daily Live every single day, and a different strand of content every single day as well. So loads of content for you. Get subscribing, get joining if you can. Keep it locked to AdamMcKola TV. And for now, I've been AdamMcKola. You lot have been legends. I'm out of here.